What's up guys, NepentheZ here and welcome back to another episode of The Road to Glory. So much to talk about. We are joining The Road to Glory in game 37. That's right. What happened between, what did I get to last episode, 16 and 6 to now game 37. What happened there? I'll explain that in just a second. But we've got again today a full game. The reason why I picked this game out of all the games that I had available is for a few reasons. First and foremost, I thought this game was fantastic. It included everything. Extra time, penalties, going up, going down, changing formations. Like, literally, this is like... I felt good in this game. I felt like this was a game where I finished playing this game and I thought, you know what? When those guys on The Road to Glory ask about, seeing full gameplay, I felt like this was one of those games that would have just been amazing to see. It's just a good FIFA game. So we're not going to show game 39, we're not going to show game 40, which went for 2 games. I'll explain that in a second as well. But guys, thank you for being here. Drop a thumbs up on the video. Just so you know, this isn't going to be the only thing we do going forwards. I'm not going to just show full games and not show highlights anymore. We will still show highlights of games throughout the weeks and the weekend and stuff. But I actually just think in terms of a full game, as I say, I think this would be a very, very fun game for you guys to watch. So, I've got 3 or 4 games before this game that I've got recorded, and actually 3 games after this game that I've got recorded, but I lost about a 10-12 game segment of games. Every time, I have 2 versions of OBS. One that I record my face cam from that we're on now, and one that I stream from. They're literally 2 different versions. I don't know why. This one is V0.65, and the other one that I stream from is the OBS Studio version. So, when I go on OBS Studio and I start tinkering with how to set my stream up, if I've also got the Elgato open, everything I record on that occasion just, remember last year I actually showed you guys, it would come framey and it would just jump and jump and jump, and the footage is just unusable. So I have about a 10 or 12 game segment of footage that's unusable, and I also had a draft that I won that was unusable, so I can't even put that on Draft to Glory. I can't even put that on here. I got the 225k packs and 7.5k pack. I got nothing notable out of it. I made like 17,000 coins back from the packs just from selling the dead items, so it wasn't even like an amazing video anyway that I had to give up. But pretty much all the footage I recorded on Sunday is gone. With that being said, I managed to pull it back. The weekend league, we started off I started off 4-1 after 5 games. That wasn't so bad. We then moved to 4-3, and I was like, oh god, we're gonna have the worst weekend of my life. But I recovered to 7-3, and I was like, hey, this isn't actually so bad. I then went from 7-3 to 10-5, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be a bad weekend again. But we went from 10-5 to 16-6. I actually got to 14-6 after 20 games, which left me needing to go 15-5 to get 29 wins to get Elite 3 monthly and Elite 3 weekly. I went on a couple of good win streaks through the middle of the game, well, through the next 10 and next 5 after that. I went through a few good win streaks, and we got to 29 wins and 8 losses. 8 losses? Yeah, 8 losses. So we basically went from 12-6, I think it was, or 10-6, 10-5 to 29-8. So I had a really good set of runs in there. You saw some of those games yesterday, of course, and you're seeing this game now. And then from 29 wins, if I won all 3 of them, I would have ended up finishing Elite 2, which, based on my start, would have been an exceptional return. Sadly, we lost the last game twice, funnily enough. I was 4-1 down in the last game. I won game 39, so I got to 31 wins. I was 4-1 down in the last game with 2 minutes left on the clock, and my opponent scored a couple of own goals, and he DC'd because of scoring 2 own goals. They've changed it now from 3 to 2, so he scored 2 own goals. And then he messaged me afterwards saying, GG, big fan of the series, I didn't want to cost you a result. And I actually messaged it. I tried to message him before he messaged me, but it was blocked. But then I replied to his message and said, basically said, there was no need to do that. I, appreciate it and all, but he should have just taken the win. He just completely outplayed me. He was far better than me, considerably. Within 10 minutes, I was 3-0 down. And then I kind of pulled it back. It was 4-1 at the end. I sorted myself out and figured some stuff out and managed to close the gaps by changing formation. But it was already too late at that point. But so I lost 4-1. But because he got the DC, I got to replay the game. And I had another chance at Elite 2. I told him he should have taken the win. It didn't affect me anyway. Elite 2 instead of Elite 3 is only coins difference. It wasn't the end of the world. And I went 2-0 up against the guy in the 40th game for the second time. He then gets a red card. Well, I was 1-0 up. He gave away a penalty and got a red card, and I went 2-0 up. And after controlling the game and going 2-0 up, I couldn't do anything. Honestly, I've never experienced anything like it in my life. It felt like I had a man down. His team was just everywhere, and it was just so hard, and he ended up beating me in extra time. So that was pretty frustrating, but it was, karma, essentially. I got what I deserved. I shouldn't have been in the position where I could have potentially won the 40th game anyway, because I should have just lost it fair and square. So we lost it anyway. So we finished on 31 wins this week, which is really nice. It feels good. I felt good playing FIFA this weekend as well. After the Friday, where I played already 19 games on Friday, I got myself to 13-6 on Friday. And it felt good to manage to come through what was a tough start and finish positively for a change. Anyway, that's that all out of the way. So we made it. We got Elite 3 monthly rewards instead of Gold 1, which is nice. We got Elite 3 weekly rewards, which for this Team of the Week is actually going to be quite good, because there's going to be some really big players in Team of the Week. If some of the projected Team of the Weeks that I've seen are to go by, we're going to have some good time. There's lots of comments to go. This is like a 25-minute video, so we're going to get through them. Humpty. I didn't take the top comments this time either. I actually went to the newest comments first, so the most recent comments, and read down loads of comments and picked some favourite ones. So these aren't necessarily all of the top comments. If you think, for those that sit there and look at the top comments and say, oh, my top comment was there and you didn't read it out, you ignore it. I'm not ignoring it. I'm just picking the comments a different way today. And I wanted to read through a lot of the comments because I was interested to see when you guys started watching the series. Some of you started watching it very early on. Some of you are quite new to the series. What a great finish that was, by the way. For some of you, you've watched for a period of time, taken a break and come back and watched again. And I was having fun reading how often and how long you guys have been around. Some of you guys have literally been here since the FIFA 16 Road to Glory came onto this channel, and you guys, the real MVPs, man. If you've been here all that time, that's awesome. But Humpty Hump says, I don't know about everyone else, but watching the full games makes me feel like I'm becoming a better player. I definitely hope he does this more often. And whilst I hope people can take positives out of my gameplay. I know I'm not the best player in the world, but I know as an elite player, if you're not an elite player, if you're gold or lower, you can take tips from me even though I'm not top 100 level. I get that. So, if you can if you learn anything from watching my gameplay, that's absolutely awesome. But what this comment sparked for me, and I think there was another one as well, which I might have to go back to, but remember on stream, let me see if I can find the, yeah, there we go. So Ike Marchie says, hey Nep, love the full gameplay, still trying to improve that personally on my own end, where you pointed out your flaws in second man press. I find I have problems finishing offensively and creating chances. A tutorial on crossing technique would be much appreciated. Stay up, lad. Well, thank you for the kind words, dude. What both those comments there sparked for me was something that I did last year back on stream on FIFA 17, and that was actually analysing gameplay. And I had a lot of fun analysing gameplay, showing people where their problems were, where where an individual unforced error might have cost them a goal or a win, or can stop them from scoring instead of scoring a goal. And I would dream of a program that allows me to draw and fast forward and slow down and cut replays like Sky Sports have. I know that sounds crazy, but imagine I've got my iPad, right? And I've got my iPad and I've got my stream is basically my iPad. And I've got a pen on the iPad, and I can circle a player and say, so this player here, and draw said, what you want him to do is you want him to run this way. And instead of that, you dragged him out of position, which left some space here. And I could show people, not only show people where mistakes were made, but I could analyse my own gameplay so much deeper and pinpoint problems and show people on my own gameplay. We could do an episode where I literally just take a game and just look at the problems and be like, hey guys, this guy went ultra defensive, it left a huge gap in his midfield here, his opponent was attacking, which meant his attackers kept flooding that gap, and then it created an imbalance in the defensive proportions for that opponent. So even though he was on defensive, it was actually less beneficial to him because of the space he allowed the opponent. And spotting things like that will help us all become better players. It might help us recognise patterns in the game that we didn't see before, that we're able to understand and counter on a real-time basis, and it would just be fun. So if anyone knows of a program like what Sky Sports have, where I can literally draw fast forward, speed up, slow down, get in like zones so I can show zones of space, things like that. I would honestly love something like that, man. I think that would be absolutely amazing. So in this game anyway, guys, we're 1-1 in the 60th minute at the moment, and it's been a tough game. My opponent was good, competent on the ball. His goal was really nice. He defended really well. I stuck with the 4-4-2 for the time being. We're going to see out the rest of this game. Obviously, we've got a lot of time left on this game. He made some subs here himself. I've only got one sub on the bench, Yarmolenko, so I decided myself to hold off. Because this was a tough game, I thought, you know what, I don't want to make my sub too early. I want to make sure that I get fresh legs on when they're important, and I thought if this game does go to extra time, I'm going to want the sub for then. So I waited a little while to put my sub in. But yeah, I would love something to be able to analyse gameplay on YouTube and on Twitch far different. It would be fantastic. Alejandro Pages, or Pages, or Pages. Alejandro, tell me how to pronounce your surname. I apologise if I got it wrong. It says, Nep, I've been watching you and A9 now for years. To completely honest with you, I've stayed watching you for the way you are as a person and the content you create, not by how many wins you rack up, which obviously I'm happy for, but you shouldn't have to stress yourself for having to win to get us good content. You play and have fun because you play having fun, you will perform way better. I appreciate that, dude. And again, this comment, I don't really have a direct response for this comment, but this just kind of like creates an overall observation of me and myself, and I know I'm not perfect. I know I make many mistakes in this industry. I know I make many mistakes in FIFA. I am literally just a normal person trying applying their trade in an industry that is filled with superstars. You know, there are better content creators than me. There are better speakers than me. There are better FIFA players than me. There are better editors than me. Like I've been so lucky to be in the industry for as long as I have been, and it's because for some reason you guys see something in me, and I appreciate that. And what you see in me isn't necessarily based on just my FIFA abilities. Saying that though, I would like to think that I am a good FIFA player, and I think that's fair to say that I am a good FIFA player. Oh damn, got that runny nose coming, boys. But yeah, it's nice to know that in spite of the fact that sometimes I get things drastically wrong, you know, not every video suits every person, and these last two videos are probably prime example of that. There are probably some people that absolutely hate the full games and don't want to watch the full games and would much prefer the chopped games and seeing more. And then there are also some people that probably hate seeing the chopped games because you don't get a true sense of the context of a game when you just see the goals. And so there are probably people that love watching these games. And so I'm not going to be able to please both of those people. There are obviously probably people that hate certain discussion topics and certain people that love certain discussion topics. And it's very hard to get the balance right all the time. And because of that, I'm always trying to become a better content creator. And sometimes I make mistakes along the way. But the main goal is to make sure that the next video is better than the last video. And the way I try and do that is by taking feedback, like looking at views, looking at likes, looking at dislikes, looking at comments, taking feedback through, you know, Twitter or feedback through the comment section, and just my own general feeling and understanding. And what I thought I had was a good balance with the Road to Glory. And I know that it's always the vocal minority that are the people that complain, but complaints are quite often valid. And somebody actually on Reddit, there was a thread about me on Reddit. I'm not really going to delve into the thread in Reddit because typical Reddit, it's, has a thread been deleted? It has. Oh no, it hasn't. It's still there. You know, it's basically talking about the last video. I'm not going to get into the video because it's people just bashing me. And like Reddit is just becoming a very toxic place. I spend less and less of my time on Reddit. Just because I don't enjoy the discussion points there anymore. It's become so popular to a degree that it's just, like I say, it's just full of people that are just hating. And not just me, but like there was a thread about A9 skills yesterday that was quite clearly fake. Some guy just used Inspect Element to suggest that AA had begged him for a win on the Road to Glory, and it blew up and people were just straight away digging into him. Yeah, oh, I expect this from people like him. He's such a fraud, this and it's just something that it was fake. It was proven to be fake. A&I Skill showed his messages. You can inspect element on anything on the internet and change it to whatever you want. It's just, it was poor. And instead of people, like there was a small minority of people on that thread about AA saying, dude, obviously he doesn't do this. Like if you know him at all, you'd know this would never happen. Like, this is quite clearly fake. People need to stop indulging in this. But most of it was people just bashing him. And they were just so happy that someone in the limelight was getting exposed that they didn't even care if it was the truth or not. They were just so happy to go in there and give another dig, kick a man while he's supposedly down. And that's what Reddit has become. Reddit has become a headhunting session for people that hate YouTubers. I see it all the time about Bateson, about myself, about AA9 skills, about anybody and everybody. There's always negative, about Nick as well. There's always bad threads on there to bash YouTubers, and it just feels unnecessary. So because of that, because Reddit becomes such a toxic place, specifically over the last month or so, I just spend less and less time on Reddit. But however, there was a comment on that thread, because I still read the thread. Obviously it's about me, I'm narcissistic, I'm going to read it. I'm interested in to see what people have to say. There was one comment that was very well put, and I'm very intrigued to read to you guys. Well, I'm very interested to read to you guys. It comes from a guy called No Need to Be Mad, and he said, NepentheZ RTG viewer, and I've seen every episode since FIFA 15, yes, including the account that got wiped in the FIFA coin days. I hear what you're saying. He's talking about the OP and the OP's opinion. And they said, some things do get repetitive, but just imagine how difficult it would be to talk about FIFA every single day for 30 minutes. I think it would be near impossible to not recycle some information over the course of the year. My personal wish for the series, I think it would be great to see Net play Gfinity once per week. I've heard the reason why he don't, commitments on his main channel at 6 o'clock during SBC releases, but there are some days where we almost never get SBCs, Wednesdays for example. If Gfinity isn't possible, maybe even have a regular slot per week where he will do best of 3 versus a pro. There are plenty of pros who would appreciate the exposure, and it would be cool to hear Nep's analysis of their gameplay and how he managed to overcome it, or maybe how he can improve it next time they play. And I just replied to that and said noted, because he raises some fantastic points. Last year, I didn't do Gfinity during the time I wanted to because there was just too much going on at 6 PM every day. If it wasn't SBCs, like the time I wanted to get involved in Gfinity was around Team of the Season and stuff. So if it wasn't SBCs, it was something new for Team of the Season or something new for Team of the Week. There was just so much going on every day at 6 PM. Now, though, he is actually right. There are specific days where specifically Mondays and Wednesdays and Saturdays and Sundays, although because the Foot Champ's probably not there, but Mondays and Wednesdays are 2 days I could probably say, okay, I could actually do Gfinity here. It's not impossible for me to do Gfinity here. So yeah, I like that. I like that suggestion. And when ideas are put to me in just a nice manner, where somebody's like, hey, this is something that you could consider again, and they don't have to be a dickhead about it, and they don't have to be spiteful about it. I actually look at it and I think, hey, that would be good. And going back to what I was saying just a second ago, in terms of creating better content and giving you guys things better and wanting to be a better content creator, sometimes it takes an outside set of eyes to say this is an option as well, by the way. Because when you get caught in your own little bubble, in your own little world of creating content, it's so sometimes hard to just realize the differences, because you set yourself into a routine and it literally becomes routine. Okay, so today I do that, tomorrow I do that, and you try and figure yourself out what you're going to do for the week, how you're going to sort your week out, and eventually you do indeed sort your week out and you get the same content week on week, and it does become a little bit repetitive at times, and it is always nice to mix it up at times. Sometimes I don't necessarily mix it up the best of ways, but like what No Need to Be Mad said, playing Gfinity or playing best of 3s against pros, I think that'd be a lot of fun. And what he said as well, funnily enough, it says they would appreciate the exposure. It would be cool to hear Nep's analysis of their gameplay. Again, wouldn't that be amazing if I could actually analyze the gameplay in a different fashion than just because it's so hard, like right now, for me to, if I wanted to talk to you about something that I've changed, I would have to describe it verbally and hope that you understand what my mind's eye is describing. But if we had a program where I could draw, pause, fast forward, clip, it would be so much easier for me to visualize exactly what I'm explaining. Yeah, that not to be mad, that's definitely a possibility. I will look into Gfinity, their start times and so on and so forth over the next few days. What day is it today? Today is Tuesday, so maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow's episode is probably going to be marquee matchups, but maybe tomorrow I'll still play Gfinity and we'll see how far we get. Probably get knocked out in the first round, but we'll see. We'll see essentially how it goes. One of the other problems I have now, and this is going to sound like an excuse, but it's absolutely true, is since my little boy has been born, since my son has been born, I take much more responsibility in helping my girlfriend with putting my daughter to bed. And my daughter goes to a bath, has a story, and gets her nighttime routine starting from around 7 PM. So I'd have to figure something out once a week for Gfinity. I could probably get around that. But my time basically from 5 p.m. onwards is always really heavily taken up. But yeah, we'll definitely look into that for sure. So there we go. Next comment was from Trickfic HD. Says, Nep, can you explain the player switching mechanics? No, I don't know if anyone can. It doesn't make sense, man. Sometimes I think, okay, it's probably trying to get you to the player that's like closest to the ball, but logical. But I use both left bumper and right analog stick to switch players. And there are times where it will physically not allow me to select a player. And I don't know why. You know, sometimes you're like, somebody's going to take a free kick. And you can see the guy standing in a box of space at the front post from the free kick. And you think, well, he's going to whip that into him and he's going to get the header. So all you want to do is select that guy behind that attacker and move him in front of that attacker. But what will happen is the game just won't let you select him. It will select the guy behind the attacker, and it will select the guy next to. And yeah, you can move them into that position. But what that's going to cause then is it's going to cause another space gap. So what you want to do is you want to select the right player to move them into the right position, and it just won't let you. I don't like player switching is one of the things that people have complained about the most for a long time, and I don't know if it's an easy thing to get right from EA. I thought that was a foul, by the way, against Rui Costa there. There was another comment about my defenders and about heading and stuff. So Just Frederick says, hey Nep, now crossing is such a viable way of scoring. Surely Fernandez is the next player out of the team. And there was also a comment from Morgan Williams, says, player with high jumping above players that are tall. Promes, Antonio and Tolisso win so many headers against tall players. Example, Naldo, who are huge but don't jump. And the difference is, so first of all, heading accuracy is irrelevant in terms of winning the ball from a header. The heading stat is literally heading accuracy. It's how accurate the header is once you head the ball. With jumping, what you'll notice, and there are some anomalies, but as a general rule, the taller the player, the lesser the jumping. And I think it's just a way to balance the game. Because if you had a tall player like Naldo that also had high jumping, he would win every header all the time without fail. And so what they do is they just dramatically reduce his jumping stat so that someone like Promes has a chance. I think more important than the heading stats, and the reason why I'm not necessarily interested in getting Fernandez out of my team immediately is because I think his jumping stat is actually quite good anyway. So we go for Fernandez. No, that's Fernandinho, NepentheZ. Can you not read Fernandez? So for Nacho Fernandez, his jumping stat is 87, which is decent. It's not amazing, but the difference with why crossing is successful now isn't because players are tall or not tall. I've scored volleys from these crosses. I've scored with Insigne from these crosses. I score with Promes from these crosses. The reason why, in my opinion, the crosses are so effective is for a few reasons. First and foremost, when you get the cross from those areas, the goalkeeper doesn't come from it. So that already alleviates one kind of defensive property from your opponent. The second reason why the crosses are so effective, funnily enough, is also because of player switching. Most people have their player switching set to air balls only. And when you get the ball in an area of the field, and this is exactly where I'll be able to explain it better visually with the ability to draw or whatever, but when you get the ball in the crossing area and the player is using the man to track the crosser of the ball, right? Let's say they're marking the guy who's crossing the ball. When I cross that in, they're using someone, they might be holding contain, they might be using the left analog stick themselves to manually maneuver it. When I whip that ball in, the goalkeeper's not going to come for that ball, but it will auto switch to the defender closest to the guy who's going to head the ball or volley the ball. And that poses a problem for the defending player, because if they are holding contain and then it auto switches, it's going to cause the player to run away from the guy who's going to head the ball because of auto switching. And if they're using the left analog stick to manually control the player, whatever they're doing with that left analog stick, when it automatically switches the player, it's going to cause that player to come out of position. And it basically creates this scenario where it creates an undefendable position because the goalkeeper refuses to come off his line, and because auto switching is so detrimental for air balls, even though air balls only seems like a reasonable thing to do. it just causes a problem in the game where you can't defend, you literally just can't defend it. No matter how good your defenders are, no matter how tall they are, no matter how good their jumping or heading stats are, they can't defend it because the goalkeeper doesn't come and the auto switching is a bit of an issue. Will Bellis says, now when you apply a chem style, you gain boosts in just them stats. So when a player is on 2, 3 or 4, do you lose just those stats too? Like applying a Deadeye in Valencia would just reduce shooting and passing, or do you get a reduction of all stats? So as you said at the end there, you basically get a linear reduction in stats. It reduces all stats equally and evenly per point lost. We tested that out last year and this year, and sadly it doesn't just reduce the stats in the chem styles only. I had a couple more comments I've actually had for 3 videos now that I've never got around to. Hopefully we'll get around to them in the next video. But here we are, guys. So this is the end of the video. I ended up winning that game on penalties, but what a fun game that was. What a really fun game that was. Kaiski1991, I messaged him afterwards and said GG. He messaged back and I believe he said that I cost him Elite 1 monthly in rewards. He said it was for the first time ever, so that was pretty rough. But fortunately for us, that puts us up to a point where we got 30 wins with 2 games remaining. I only won 1 of the final 2. I'm not going to show any of that gameplay of either of those because we've talked about them enough already. But this, guys, is going to be the end of the video. If you did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like, rate, and comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But for now, guys, I'm out. Peace.